This line graph tracks the value of the Indian rupee against the US dollar through late 2025. You can see it holding a steady, comfortable position right around 89.85. Then, on February 28th, a major conflict erupted in West Asia, immediately throwing the security of the Strait of Hormuz into question. This specific waterway is crucial because it's one of the most heavily trafficked choke points on the planet for crude oil shipments, a resource India buys in massive quantities to keep its economy running. When a crucial supply route like that is threatened, it proves that a country's currency isn't entirely controlled by its own domestic policies. It is highly vulnerable to unpredictable conflicts an ocean away. Because India relies so heavily on imported crude oil, any global panic that drives up oil prices causes the country's import bill to surge. To pay that inflated international oil bill, vast amounts of US dollars rapidly exit the Indian economy in a capital outflow. As dollars disappear, this sudden scarcity starves the exchange market, driving the Indian rupee's value straight down. The drop was severe. By mid-May, the rupee had fallen to an all-time low of 96.57 against the dollar. With every fraction of a drop, anxiety mounted over the real possibility of the currency hitting a breaking point of 100 rupees per dollar, meaning the physical cash in people's pockets was rapidly losing its purchasing power. The external oil shock had successfully breached domestic borders. It backed India's central bank into a corner, where they had to either act immediately or watch their currency slide even further. That responsibility falls to the Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, acting as the ultimate firewall against financial collapse. Taking charge of the crisis, RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra made an aggressive public pledge, declaring the bank would do whatever is required to defend the rupee from market speculators. The main tool backing up that promise is the country's formidable war chest, nearly $700 billion in foreign exchange reserves. This split-screen visualization illustrates the mechanics of that defense. The central bank intervenes by selling off portions of its dollar reserves to buy up its own rupees, creating an artificial demand that pushes the currency's value back up. While flooding the market with dollars can halt the immediate panic, it comes with a massive, unsustainable cost, burning through the nation's finite emergency savings. However, a contrasting economic philosophy argues that fighting natural market forces with the country's savings account is a dangerous mistake. Economist Arvind Panagaria warned that the RBI shouldn't let the psychological fear of hitting the 100 rupee mark dictate their policy. His argument is straightforward. Whether the oil shortage lasts a few weeks or a few years, the right response is to step back and let the rupee depreciate naturally. The logic here is harsh but practical. A weaker currency makes importing goods painfully expensive, which forces the domestic market to organically consume less, correcting the imbalance without draining that $700 billion reserve. This created a high-stakes dilemma for the central bank. Do they spend billions to engineer stability today, or do they endure the immediate pain of a market crash to protect their long-term financial security? Just as that internal policy debate reached a boiling point, an entirely external geopolitical shift altered the equation. Reports emerged of sudden US-Iran peace talks, with figures like Donald Trump announcing progress on a deal, specifically designed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This chart tracks the market reaction. Optimism surrounding a peace agreement caused global crude oil prices to peak, then sharply drop. As oil prices fall, pressure on India's import bill vanishes, showing the Indian rupee line rising back up, recovering from its mid-May lows. That sudden geopolitical wildcard effectively bailed out the RBI, saving them from having to choose between draining their reserves or watching their money collapse. In an era of constant global volatility, balancing the defense of a domestic currency against the preservation of national reserves remains the defining, high-stakes tightrope walk for central banks everywhere.